What's up everyone, my name is Alpha and today we're back with another Pokemon challenge video. Today we're back on the world. We're actually using a comet challenge from this week. Today we're actually going to start a brand new series. We're going to do a randomized egg group and we're going to use that egg group to beat Pokemon Radical Red 4.1 hardcore mode. So I just want some new challenges for Radical Red. I am trying to do some other ROM hacks. I just haven't gotten around to them yet, but don't worry about that. I'll get to them. But either way, today we're doing Radical Red mono egg group, and we got the first one ever, I guess. We got the Water 1 egg group. Water has like 3 different egg groups and we got one of them today. That every single type basically has one of their own egg group, kind of like a mono type, but it's a little different because certain Pokemon are only specifically in these certain egg groups. These egg groups are used to breed Pokemon and to get better egg moves. Now in Water 1, primarily Pokemon are mainly from the water but live on land, or can live on land, like the starter Pokemon. So every single starter Pokemon is in Water 1. And Pokemon can be in multiple egg groups, I think up to 2 egg groups. They can cross a lot, so it's gonna be fun to do. But besides that, that should cover up everything, all the details. One thing on top of that is that each of my Pokemon will be nicknamed after you guys in the comments. Thank you so much for leaving a nickname in my previous challenge video. If you guys want to be nicknamed after a future Pokemon, just drop in the comments and hopefully I'll pick yours. And while it's down there, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me. Anyways, let's get into the challenge video itself. So to begin off, we are going to get any starter Pokemon we want. So we're going to get the water starter, but we get any starter Pokemon we want. We actually just want a Froakie because Froakie is like one of my favorite starter Pokemon of all time. So we can get that added to my team, and then from there there's actually a bunch of other Water 1 egg group Pokemon. Obviously Clamperl is one of them, even though you have to dive originally to get them, but that's fine. We also get a Marrow. There's some really good Pokemon, a Paldean Wooper, which is not even a water type, that's part of the Water 1 egg group, so that's going to be nice to use as we make our way into Viridian Forest and then clear through the forest, get ourselves infinite repels, and then face off against this trainer. Once we get past this bug trainer, we can get into Pewter City, which we're going to use the egg merchant out here to get another Pokemon. I was thinking about if Feebas counts. Feebas doesn't even count as Water 1 in the original game, so I don't think Cantonian Feebas counts, but either way we don't use him. We actually use a Clobbopus, which is going to be not a water type, it's going to be a fighting type, so it's going to be nice to have. As from there we're going to move on, face off against Faulkner. We actually lose against Faulkner a few times, kind of embarrassing, but we get through him and then face off against the first gym leader in the game. We're gonna start the battle off against Brock using my Frogadier just to bait out the leap so I could switch out into my Clamperl. Okay, it didn't work out as it just stayed in. I knock out the Hippopotas, and then from there go out to my Paldean Wooper against the Cacnea to knock him out, and then from there his next Pokemon is gonna be the leap, which he should have sent out earlier, but go out into my Clobbopus, which will knock him down to low HP, and go out to my Clamperl to knock out a leap, and then a Lunatone comes out. Lunatone's gonna be pretty easy to deal with, so I go out to my Wooper, sack it, go out to my Frogadier to knock out the Lunatone, chip down the room in 2 shots, and then from there his final Pokemon is gonna be an Arcan. He survives a Water Pulse and knocks me out with a Rock Tomb, but I still have 3 Pokemon in the back, so I should be fine. Go out to my Marrow to knock him out, and we easily beat down Brock because we have a bunch of water type Pokemon. From there, we're going to move on and beat down this trainer in Route 4 and make our way into Mount Moon. I thought this fight was going to be a lot harder since there's a lot of grass type Pokemon against the scientists in Mount Moon, but it looks pretty simple as we get ourselves a fossil, which doesn't really matter. We can get both the fossils in this game, so I could use them later on. I don't use Almastar at all. I'm not sure why I picked up the Helix fossil, but from there, we're going to make our way into Serene City. We're going to try to beat down Misty. Didn't work the first time, so we're going to go on an adventure. We're going to go into the Nugget Bridge, clear through the Nugget Bridge, and then go on into Vermilion City. Once we're in Vermilion City, we get the Good Rod. We have access to a bunch of new Pokemon, which is going to be really good for us. So from there, we're going to go back, face off against Misty. We're going to start the battle off against Misty using my Ludicolo against her. We're going to Mega Drain. She's going to switch out to her own Ludicolo, go out to my Clocksire, which will eventually knock him out with 2 Poison Jabs, as the next Pokemon will be a Starmie. It's going to knock out my Clocksire as I go out into my Ludicolo with Swift Swim. It's going to almost knock out the Starmie as she goes out into her Mantine. I go out to my Stunfisk, which is electric and ground type with Water Absorb. Really broken Pokemon, as I'm able to discharge into him and knock out the Mantine in 2 shots, and then discharge into Politoed and survive another hit, knock him out eventually, and then her next Pokemon will be a Toxicroak. It's gonna knock me out as I go out to my Bellabolt. A Bellabolt's able to just discharge into the Toxicroak, eventually knock him out. As from there, the Clocksire comes out. Clocksire is gonna knock me out, but I do chip him down to half HP as I go out into my Ludicolo. It's not going to be able to knock out the Clocksire, but chipping down even more as I go out to my Azumarill, and the Azumarill was able to knock out the Clocksire and also the Starmie for us. Finally, we got through her, and then from there, we could go into the SSN. We have a very easy time against them, surprisingly. Even though we have a bunch of water type, the Storm Drain didn't really come in play as we were able to beat down this trainer and beat down Brendan later on. From there, we're going to move on and face off against Lieutenant Surge next. We're going to start the battle off against Surge using my Grapple Lock. Grapple Lock is able to knock out the Rotom Frost for us as his next Pokemon is going to be Alolan Raichu. I'm going to go out to my Seismitoad and leave my Grapple Lock at 1 HP. From there, I'm able to knock out the Raichu, leaving my Seismitoad as 1 HP as well. From there, his next Pokemon's gonna be an Electrode as I go out into my Grapploct, Psychic Explosion, and then go out into my Galarian Stunfisk, which is also part of the Water 1 egg group. I'm here to go out to my Galarian Stunfisk to bait out the Ampharos, to go out to my actual Stunfisk, and then chip them down with some Mud Shots. I really should have put Bodos on my Pokemon, but I just keep forgetting. As I go out to my Seismitoad to knock out the Ampharos. His next Pokemon's going to be Hitmonlee. He's going to knock out my Seismitoad as I go out into my Bellabolt. Bellabolt gets the job done. 2 discharges would knock out the Hitmonlee. As I sack my Bellabolt into the Palnut, go out into my Stunfisk. I'm going to Mud Shot into him. I mean, I guess it works out as I made a Mud Shot and Sucker Punch, knock out the Palnut and knock out Lieutenant Surge. Get ourselves the 3rd gym badge in the game. Make our way into the Rock Tunnel, which we're able to clear through pretty easily. You can see on my box, these are all the Pokemon available to us at the moment. It's a pretty good list. From there, we're going to make our way into Celadon City after facing off against this trainer. We're going to get ourselves a Kilowattrel, which is actually part of the Water 1 egg group, but it's really good. But it's actually just the opposite of it. It's water flying, and also is a really good Pokemon. It's really fast, and I made fun of it a long time ago. It's not the case now. Anyways, from there, we're going to move on and face off against Erica next. Erica's going to be the 4th gym leader in the game. We're start the battle off against her using my Galarian Stunfisk. We're going to go for a revenge into the Ogre Pond, which doesn't really work out. It's going to knock me out, but you know what? I guess we go on. Go out to my Kilowattrel to Volt Switch into it as she goes out to her Slowbro. Go out to my Crawdon, which actually gets caught in the Kartana loop, which is really bad. Lucky enough, it's Sacred Sword into me, so it gets static. So I forgot how static is actually the worst ability for it, but it's fine. I'm able to Air Slash and knock out the Kartana, so it can't be that bad. As from there, she goes out to her Toxicity as I go out to my Clocksire. We have the Bodos into it 1 time, but it's gonna leave at 1 HP as he knocks me out. I'm gonna go for it, Air Slash to knock out the Toxicity, and then Volt Switch on a Slowbro into my own Slowbro as I'm able to just slack off in front of him. Get out the Mega Sceptile, Shell Side Arm, and just knock out the Sceptile easily, and then knock out the Ogre Pond as well. Her next Pokemon's gonna be her own Slowbro as I go for a slack off, heal my damage off, and then just chip him down eventually. Everything starts going down as Halucha comes out. I sack my Arachnid, I go out into my own Slowbro once again. Lucky enough, Halucha isn't able to knock me out as I'm able to Psychic and knock out the Halucha and also chip down the Slowbro. Eventually, there we go. We eventually knock out the Slowbro, beat down Erica, and we can move on. Next fight in the game, we're gonna face off against Giovanni. Giovanni's a pretty easy fight. Kilowattrel just handles everything, outspeeds everything, so cool. And from there, we can move on into the Lavender Tower, which we also evolve our Dragonair into a Dragonite. Its crystal form, shiny form is really cool. From there, we can move on into the Lavender Tower and get ourselves the Poke Flute, which is really easy. Face off against a rival in Silph Co, which takes a little bit, but we got through him. And then we actually first try against Archer and Ariana, which normally isn't too easy of a fight, but we cleared through him first try with our Greninja because this thing's broken. And then from there, we can move on and face off against Giovanni once again. Giovanni is a pretty easy fight, yeah. Nothing too difficult as we move on into the Saffron City Dojo. We face off against Chuck here and we beat down Chuck just barely. But we do beat down Chuck and get ourselves a Focus Sash. As from there, we're going to go back and get ourselves all the starter Pokemon we want, just so we have a beefed up team, so we have more options later on. But from there, we're going to move on and face off against Sabrina next. Sabrina's going to be the 5th gym leader in the game. We're start the battle off against her and her Infinite Trick Room and Infinite Misty Terrain battle using my Grapploct and also my Crawdon. I'm going to Aqua Jet with my Crawdon and then Detect with my Grapploct. Block the Misty Explosion, so my Crawdon, the camera up, and also Tapu Fini goes down as my Grapplock's okay. I go into my Huntail next with a Black Glasses, Sucker Punch into the Jellicent. Actually doesn't kill it, so I'm kind of sad about that. So that's pretty bad. I also missed the Detect, so things are not looking great for us. As I go out to my regular Slowbro, using my Slowbro, I'm able to Flamethrower into the Magearna, Sucker Punch to knock out the Jellicent, but it's going to knock out my Huntail, which is fine though, because both I brought both the Slowbros, Galarian and regular. I'm going to go for a Flamethrower into the Magearna, and then from there, I get shipped down to Iron Hands with a Psychic with my regular Slowbro, so it's actually working out pretty well for us as we knock out the Iron Hands, and then finally, our last Pokemon will be a Glacier. I just got a double Flamethrower as we knock him out. We beat down Sabrina and get ourselves the 5th gym badge in the game. We were then going to make our way down a second road. Surprisingly, this Pokemon Kabutops doesn't actually get a Cell Rock, which is kind of unfortunate. If it did, it would have been one of the better Pokemon in the game, but unfortunately it doesn't. And then from there, we can move on and face out against Brendan in front of the Safari Zone. We clear through Brendan, and I really love Huntail. If you guys can't tell, Huntail is a really good Pokemon. From there, we're going to move on. We have to rematch the first 3 gym leaders before we face off against Koga. So we're going to face off against Brock. Brock's a pretty easy fight if everything goes right for us, as you see. And then from there, we can face off against Misty next. Misty's a pretty easy fight, just generally. And then facing off against Lieutenant Surge is like, yeah, Yeah, it's not gonna be easy, but we got through them because we have a bunch of non-water type Pokemon in this egg group, so we can make it through, and we're able to clear through Lieutenant Surge. From there, we can make our way into the next fight in the game. We're gonna face off against Koga, the 6th gym leader in the game. We're gonna start the battle off against him using my Stun Fist. My Galarian Stun Fist is part Steel types. It's gonna force the Tapu Lele to go for a Focus Blast, and it's gonna miss, so it works out. Tapu Lele misses. His next Pokemon is gonna be a Crocodile, and I'm like, ooh, this thing could be dangerous. Go out to my Poliwrath, which actually survives an Earthquake and Wicked Blow easily. So from there, he's going to actually go for an Earthquake again. I survive it. I have Surging Strike on my Poliwrath to knock out the Crocodile. And then from there, we're able to knock out the Crocodile. His Hoopa Unbound comes out next. So I go out into my Arachnid. I'm able to go for a Leech Life as I'm able to one-shot the Hoopa Unbound. And then from there, his next Pokemon is going to be a G-Max Toxicity. As I go out to my Clocksire, Clocksire is able to survive a Boom Burst and Bulldoze into him. Unfortunately, does not do too well. So I go out to my Stunfisk. Stunfisk is able to survive the Toxicity and knock him out. His next one's gonna be a Shiyu. It's gonna. I actually lived a Hidden Power and then Bulldoze into him, but he's gonna knock me out with a Dark Pulse as I go out to my Swampert. Oh, wow, that's not what I expected. Swampert's supposed to live that, but Swampert did not. Okay, well, I go out to my Arachnid. Lucky enough is able to survive and then knock out the Shiyu in 2 shots. And his final Pokemon is going to be a Nidoking. I sacrifice my Arachnid. I go out to my Lapras. Lapras is able to go for a Scald. 2-shot into the Nidoking. And yeah, we almost threw that fight. But we didn't, as we beat down Koga. And now we can move on into Seafoam Island. Since we have access to Surf, we can face off against Price next, and we get ourselves the Choice Scarf. From there, we could face off against May, and May's a pretty easy fight in Cinnabar Island. We clear through him pretty easily, and then from there, we can move on into Cinnabar Island's gym. We can face off against these gym trainers, and then face off against Blaine himself. We're gonna start the battle off against Blaine using my Greninja. I switched Greninja's ability from Battle Bond into Protein, so I'm able to Ice Beam into the Sandy Shock and just one-shot it with my Ice type at this point. Go out to my Dragonite next as he goes out into his Venusaur. I'm going to survive a Sludge Bomb and then Dual Wing Beat and knock him out pretty easily. His next Pokemon is going to be a Ho-Oh. He's going to knock out my Dragonite, but I do have a Greninja in the back. I go for a Rock Slide to guarantee the one-shot on the Ho-Oh. He's going to revive itself, but it's going to knock me down to red HP. It doesn't knock me out, as I'm able to go for a Rock Slide once again to knock out the Ho-Oh. From there, he's going to switch out to his Walking Wake, and I'm like, this is pretty easy. I go for Dark Pulse. It flinched him twice, I think. And I'm like, this cannot happen. So it goes down to low HP. I go out to my Kilowattrel, which would knock him out with an Air Slash. And then from there, his next Pokemon is going to be a Charizard X. It's going to knock me out, but that's fine. I have a bunch of great Pokemon in the back. Go out to my Kabutops with a Choice Scarf to knock out the Charizard X with a Stone Axe. And here is a masterclass of how to throw another battle. So from there, I don't know why I went out to my Huntail. And then I just try to chip him down with Crunch out of everything. I go back out to my Kabutops. I'm like, okay, I'm throwing. I lost Kabutops too. Looking up Dreadnoughts in the back with counters. I'm able to Dynamax evolve him into a new form. And then I'm able to go for a counter on the Headlong Rush as I knock down the Great Tusk. As we barely beat down Blaine with that, with a lot of throws at the end. But we beat down Blaine. We can move on into Cerulean Cave and face off against Archer and Ariana. This fight's pretty easy as we beat him down and then face off against Ariana. Ariana's a pretty easy fight as well. We face off against Giovanni next on our first attempt with Greninja. But Protein Greninja is broken as we beat down everything on Giovanni's team, as you can see. So yeah, we had a pretty easy time on this half of the game. We also brought Malamar. That wasn't really needed at all. So from there, we can move on and face off against the next gym leader and the final gym leader in the game. We're going to face off against Claire next. We're going to start the battle off against Claire using my Poliwrath. Now, Poliwrath's able to go for Hypnosis and Surging Strikes into the Shuckle to avoid any hazards. But he decides to go out into his Eternatus. I'm like, oh, that's not great. I sacrifice my Poliwrath and then go out into my Galarian Stunfisk to go for a Snap Trap. Oh, I don't go for it. I just double? Okay, I'm crazy like that. Okay, double into my Huntail and then Crunch and then Sucker Punch into him to knock him out. There we go. Knock out the Ultra Necrozma. His Pokemon's going to be a Roaring Moon as I go out to my Stunfisk to Snapchat and then switched out some reason. I think I was predicting Earthquake. And then she predicted me by going out to her Magearna. I'm like, oh, that's great. I go out to my Swampert next, which will survive a Moonblast pretty easily. Knock him out with a Mirror Coat. And then from there, her next Pokemon will be an Archlodon. Her Archlodon is going to knock me out, but I go out into my Greninja next. Dark Pulse into a Flinch him, which is really nice. And then I don't take a Steel Beam, so it's going to knock me out with a Steel Beam. Go out to my Stunfisk to Snapchat and Sucker Punch to knock out the Archlodon. As her next Pokemon will be a Roaring Moon. I go for a Snap Trap once again, and then it will knock out the Roaring Moon. Chip away at the Eternatus, but it's going to knock me out as I go out into my Dragonite. Dragonite is able to just chip him down. I don't know why I went for Extreme Speed. I should have just went for a Dragon Rush, but now he's going to recover stall me. Eventually, I do knock him out with a Dragon Rush as we beat down the Eternatus and then just chip down a Shuckle. Eventually knock him out as well with my Iron Head as we beat down Claire. And we get our final gym badge in the game, as from there we can move on and face off against a rival in Route 22. He doesn't have his Magma team, so he's not going to use Groudon in the Elite Four. He's going to use his Kyogre, and we basically have a Water team anyway, so it's going to work out pretty well for us. As from there, we're going to move on and face off against Brendan in front of Victory Road. Pretty easy fight. We're going to move on after this and make our way into the Elite Four itself. We'll find out that Lorelai is going to use her Water team, which is great. I don't really have a problem with that. We want to go back into Saffron City and get ourselves the Swamperite to Mega Evolve our Swampert. For some reason, it glitched out at this moment, so I was like, what's going on here? Either way, we get ourselves the Swamperite and then go back. Now, before we do, our team is going to consist of Huntail, Swampert, Greninja, Dragonite, Kilowattrel, and also Galarian Stunfisk. A pretty decent team. As from there, we're going to move on and face off against Lorelai. We're going to start the battle off against her using my Dragonite, Kilowattrel, against her Iron Bundle, and Ludicolo. So they're just going to target down my Dragonite, so I'm going to go out, avoid that by going out to my Stunfisk, and then going for a Discharge to knock down the Iron Bundle and also Ludicolo a bit. From there, I can Sucker Punch and knock out the Iron Bundle. And I go out to my Dragonite to save my Kilowattrel. As my Stunfisk goes down, maybe I could have just stayed in with my Kilowattrel, but from there I go out into my Kilowattrel once again. We're in Hurricane into Ludicolo and it works out pretty well. As from there, Origin form Palkia isn't able to knock out my Dragonite as I'm able to Dragon Rush and knock him out. Her next Pokemon is going to be her own Dragonite and also Genesect. I just want to stay in and do some chip damage against the Dragonite, just break the multi-scale as it's going to knock out both my Pokemon. My next two Pokemon will be my Mega Swampert and also my Greninja, as we're able to go for an Ice Punch and knock out the Dragonite, and then go for a Dark Pulse to chip down the Genesect. Works out pretty well for us, as our final opponent will be a Mega Swampert. We're able to chip down the Genesect, eventually knock him out, and then just chip down the Swampert in the following turn. We're going to actually, we just counter it with my Swampert. So we're able to knock out the Swampert, beat down Lorelai, and now we can move on into the next fight in the game. We're going to face off against Bruno. We're going to start the battle off against Bruno using my Kilowattrel. Kilowattrel is able to just flinch down the Infernape and then knock him out, preventing hazards, as his next moment is going to be a Zacian. Go out to my Swampert next, which will counter into him. Mega Evolve counters, survive a close combat barely, and then knock him out. From there, his next opponent's going to be in the Necrozma. It's going to knock me out. I go out to my Huntail to crunch him twice, and then Sucker Punch. Crazy depth. And then from there, we're able to knock out the Necrozma. His next one's going to be a Ludicolo. As I go out to my Kilowattrel just to sack him. Kilowattrel's getting basically father here, but he goes out to Zeraora as I go out into my Stunfisk. Stunfisk is able to Bodos twice into the Zeraora, and then I don't know why I try to predict the Drain Punch, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't work either way. Go out to my Greninja to Water Shuriken and then knock him out. From there, his next Pokemon is going to be the Lucario from earlier. I'm Water type at this point, but I thought I was going to survive it. That was a stupid move, but he's going to knock me out. I go out into my Dragonite. Dragonite is able to Fire Punch into him and then Extreme Speed to knock him out. As his final opponent will be an Iron Valiant. I'm just going to sack my Dragonite, go out to my Stunfisk, Snap Trap, and then knock him out. So we easily beat down Bruno. And next up, we're going to face up against Agatha next. We're going to start the battle off against Agatha using my Kilowattrel. We're going to reset a little bit, cheese it. We're going to actually Air Slash into him and then force him out, which is kind of funny. She goes out to her Yveltal next. I'm going to go for a Discharge, paralyze it as she knocks me out. It's fine, good trade. Go out to my Greninja. I'm not gonna lie, I thought my Ice Beam would do a little more than this, but it's gonna almost knock me out as I go back out. I switch out into my Stunfisk, catch the Victini, which isn't the greatest play, but it's fine. I yawn it, and then I'm able to Bodos into him as he switched out into a Mewtwo. Go out into my Dragonite to do Wing Beat and then chip it down. It's gonna knock me out, but my Greninja in the back is also Scarf, so I'm able to go for a Scald. So you can switch out to her Flutter Mane, which is annoying. I go out to my Stunfisk once again to Snapchat it to knock him out. Her next opponent will be a Calyrex, which would knock me out with an Astral Barrage. Also, my Huntail is unable to knock him out as he goes for a Draining Kiss, but I'm able to survive it with my Focus Sash and then knock him out with another Crunch as we beat down a Calyrex. Her next opponent will be a Mewtwo. It knocks me out. Go out to my Greninja to knock him out with a Scald. From there, the Yveltal is going to knock out my Greninja, but my Swampert in the back should clutch it up as I'm able to Ice Punch, knock out the Yveltal, Ice Punch to knock out a Crocodile, and then Bodos to knock out the Victini as we beat down Agatha. Relatively nicely. From there, we can move on and face off against Lance next. We're going to start the battle off against Lance using my Greninja, looking for a Dark Pulse Flinch. I've been cheesing everyone, I guess. A Dark Pulse Flinch into a Hydro Pump to knock out the Glimmoro, avoid any hazards, and then from there, we're able to burn the Melmetal on our Scald, so we'll take that as well. We also Dark Pulse Flinch it on the very last turn we need, and then from there, I can outspeed Scald to knock out the Melmetal. From there, the Arceus Fairy comes out and just knocks me out. It's like knocks some sense into me. From there, I go out to my Stunfisk next to Snapchat into him. I'm able to survive a Flamethrower and knock out the Arceus Fairy as well. Sacrifice it to Dragonite, but I go out to my Swampert to Ice Punch and knock him out. And then from there, I could just Bodos into the Dialga. It's going to knock out my Swampert as he's going to force me out into my Dragonite. I'm going to Dragon Rush into him and eventually knock him out with a crit. And then from there, the Rayquaza comes out. I go out into my Kilowattrel just to sag it to the Dragon Ascent. Go out into my Huntail, Sucker Punch it, chip it down even more, and then go out into my Dragonite to Extreme Speed and to knock out the Rayquaza as we beat down Lance. And now we're on to the final fight in the game. Face off against the champion. Champion Blue's gonna start the battle off against us using a Primal Kyogre. I use my Kilo Watcher for this. I go for a discharge, paralyze it just to make sure it gets paralyzed. It works out, it stays paralyzed, and then from there I go for a discharge, hoping for another one. It's gonna knock me out though, but Kilo Watcher did enough. I go out to my Dragonite next to Extreme Speed and knock him out. As the next one will be an Arceus Steel, I go out to my Swampert, maybe the Bodos into him as I forgot to Mega Evolve, so I'm like, oops, that's a mistake. I Mega Evolve in Bodos again, but he switched out to his Walking Wake. I'm like, okay, that didn't make any sense. Goes down to low HP, as from there, he switched out again into Xerneas. I'm like, okay, I'm just getting Bodos. This is free chip damage. It gets a Geomancy up, but I still outspeed it, and I'm able to Bodos and knock him out with a crit, so we'll take that. I Ice Punch into the G-Max Eternatus as well, chip him down a little bit. As from there, I got to my Stunfisk. Stunfisk able to go Snapshot into him. He's gonna recover, so I'm getting Recover Star, but eventually he's gonna stop recovering, and then I'm able to chip him down and knock him out with a Suck Punch. Suck Punch into the Swampert as he's gonna knock me out, and then go out to my Greninja. Greninja is able to go for a Scald. Don't have Water Shuriken on me, so that's pretty bad. I go out to my Hunter to Suck Punch and knock out the Swampert, and then go for a Wave Crash against the Arceus Steel into a Sucker Punch to knock him out, and then Sucker Punch into the Walking Wake to knock out as well. We beat down Blue and became champion, and then we're going to become champions of Radical Red once again. Really easy overall. This went by really fast. I was like, the beginning parts might have been slower because I really limited the options, but Water 1 group, it's pretty good. This Water Egg group is really good, and honestly, you guys should really try it out. I'm really excited for this randomized egg group challenge we're gonna do. This new series is gonna be really fun. I really wish I saved the comment that told me to do this a long time ago, but if you know who you are, thank you for suggesting this challenge idea. I'm sorry I couldn't give you credit, but either way, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you guys can, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me. Anyways, my name is Alpha, and I hope you guys all have a great day, and I'm out. Peace.